Would your family or your kids eat these dishes? Tuna hot dish tater tot casserole, balsamic onion sheet pan pizza, or a squash lentil soup with crispy chickpeas. So these were all recipes out of a cookbook that I bought. And this cookbook was billed as sort of a family-friendly meal prep cookbook. And as I read through these recipes, I thought, that is something that I really love doing on YouTube, is just like sharing real life. Because even though those dishes may be like uber healthy, I don't know that my family's gonna necessarily eat them. And I don't wanna really make my dinner time much more stressful than it has to be. So in today's video, I'm just gonna share with you a bunch of breakfasts, lunches, and dinners that we've had over the past couple weeks in hopes that it might inspire you to make something similar. I really want to thank PMD for sponsoring today's video. You guys know I have worked with them here on my channel for a long time, and I feel like I have something to confess. And that is that I didn't really start paying attention much to my skincare until I was in my late 30s. So don't be like me. Invest in your skincare now, no matter what age you are at. As a super busy working mom, I don't really have the time to be going and getting treatments at the spa. And also by using PMD products at home, it can save me a ton of money, and it's super relaxing at the end of a busy day. Today, I'm showing you how I use the PMD Gua Sha RQ along with the PMD Clean Pro RQ. My skin feels so clean and amazing after I use the PMD Clean Pro. And I also love using the tool. There is a heated stone on one side, and it's super relaxing to use it to apply your facial serums and oils. I've been wanting to try Gua Sha for such a long time, and it helps relieve tension in my face. It also helps reduce puffiness, and it can also help sculpt your jawline and cheekbones. And just overall, it's super relaxing to use as a part of my skincare routine. I love it. I also like that it has a silicone grip so it doesn't slip out of your hands, and it's large enough to use on your face and body. The best part is that PMD Beauty is having their biggest sale of the year. It is a lifetime investment that can save you so much money. So make sure you check out my link in the description box below, and you can use my code JENPMD for 40% off. Again, that link will be in the description box below, along with in a pinned comment. Make sure that you use my code and my link to get 40% off your very own PMD Clean Pro or your very own PMD Gua Sha RQ. So tonight for dinner, we are having Italian beef sandwiches. This was actually a freezer meal that I had in my deep freeze, and I put it into the crock pot this morning. It is just shredded beef with a pepperoncini sauce, or broth rather. And then I've got some potato wedges in the oven. I just got a bag of those at the good old Walmart. And I'm toasting up some buns. These are the Pepperidge Farm soft white buns. So I just spray them with a little bit of butter and toast them in a pan. And then I think I'm going to use mozzarella cheese for the sandwiches. And then I was going to make slaw, but I had to go grocery shopping today, and I don't have time to make it. It's already almost 7 p.m. So I think we're just going to have maybe some cut up cucumbers or some fruit or something on the side. So I haven't purchased these potato wedges from Walmart in quite a while, but I highly recommend them. And I will link the recipe I used down below for Italian beef sandwiches. I highly recommend this one. Okay, so I've showed you guys this before in a couple of videos, but one of the things that I've been making lately has been some Crunchwrap Supremes at home. You can make them a lot healthier, and honestly, I think they are just as good. So I browned up some ground beef, and I'm using the Tasty Tacos taco seasoning. I don't know if that's a regional thing. I know that it's a restaurant here in Iowa, so we can get it in the regular grocery store, but if you find that seasoning, I do recommend it. I toasted up some corn tortillas just in a little bit of avocado oil, and then I'm also going to make some guacamole just because I had all the ingredients on hand, and we'll have that on the side with some chips. So with the Crunch Wraps, basically it's just a large flour tortilla, like a burrito sized tortilla, and then you layer on seasoned ground beef, a little bit of nacho cheese, a crispy tostada, or you could also use tortilla chips if you wanted to, and then some sour cream, lettuce, tomato, and you wrap it all up and toast it in a pan, and it's really good if you've never tried one before. I'll link a recipe down below that you can go off of. But for my guacamole, I just added my chopped red onions to a bowl along with some lime juice, and then I added in my avocado. I don't know how I ended up with 2 ripe avocados. Just, waiting for me to make guacamole. That hardly ever happens, but here we are. So I mashed those up in the bowl. I also like to add a little bit of chopped tomato to my guacamole as well. And actually, Connor has now decided that he likes guacamole. In fact, we were out to dinner last weekend and he requested that we get chips and guacamole as an appetizer. I was like, oh, another person who likes guac. So I really do like making my own guacamole at home. I just feel like it tastes so much fresher than any of the packaged guacamole that you can buy in the grocery store. I also like to add lots of cilantro to mine because I love cilantro and I can't get enough of it. So I'm just chopping that fine and I'll add it to the bowl along with my avocado and the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and season my guacamole with some salt and pepper and give that a stir. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and build our crunch wraps. So I have the large burrito size flour tortillas. I added a little bit of the seasoned ground beef and then a little bit of the paste nacho cheese on top of that. My tostada, you can also buy the pre-made tostadas at the grocery store if you want to, but a lot of times I do have corn tortillas on hand, so it's just as easy for me to toast them. I added some sour cream to the top of that, some chopped up lettuce, some tomato, and then you just want to add a little bit of shredded cheese, and then you kind of fold the edges over around the crunch wrap like this, kind of folding them in, making a little packet. And that cheese that you put on the top will actually help to seal the tortilla shut as you cook it. And then these are the tortillas that I like to use for mine since I am on a weight loss journey right now. So they are the Carb Balance Mission burrito size tortillas. They're a little bit smaller than the other ones, but they end up working out just fine and they are a lot less calories. So you go ahead and put these folded side down in a dry skillet and just toast them over medium heat until they get nice and brown on the outside. And then I normally do cut them in half before I serve them. I don't actually think Taco Bell does that, but I find that they're a little bit easier to eat, especially for my kids. And this is actually one of Connor's favorites too. I swear to God, he requests it like every single week, but I can never get enough of like taco flavored things. So I'm always on board for that. Okay, so next up, I'm going to share with you a breakfast that I cooked on the weekend. So I normally like to cook big breakfasts on the weekend because my family likes them and I just have extra time. So these are actually my favorite store-bought biscuits. They are the Pillsbury frozen biscuits and they turn out so delicious when you bake them up. If you've never tried them, I highly recommend them. So I'm going to go ahead and pop those in the oven. And then I had this bag of roasted potatoes that were in the freezer. And so I just decided to put those in the air fryer and I sprayed it with a little bit of avocado oil spray. I'm going to go ahead and cook those. And then I had some bacon in the refrigerator and I'm just cooking that up over medium heat in a skillet. And I had some baguette to use up. So I toasted that up and this was what I made for Adam for breakfast: bacon, eggs, toast, and potatoes. Tonight I made a pot roast in the Instant Pot. I can link the recipe I used down below. Basically, this is just a round roast with potatoes and onions and beef broth and Worcestershire, and I cooked it with some seasoning. And then I'm also making some carrots, so that I have those boiling. And since Kira doesn't eat beef, I went ahead and just thawed out 2 portions of salmon, and I always just cook an extra one because this works great for leftovers, obviously. And then I always keep some frozen rice on hand, and this is super easy. You can just put it in a bowl, put like, I don't know, maybe a couple tablespoons of water in there, cover it up and microwave it, and it heats up really well. And then I'm also going to heat up some wheat rolls in the oven. So we'll have the pot roast, potatoes, carrots, and rolls, and then Kira can have the rice, carrots, salmon, and a roll if she wants. Okay, so this is just a look at how I normally serve the pot roast. So basically I have our shredded roast beef. I took the potatoes out and mashed them up on the plate with some butter, salt, and pepper. And then I add a little bit of the beef broth over that. And then on the side, I always make like honey butter carrots. I just boil those until they are tender. And then I add some butter, salt, pepper, and a little drizzle of honey. And of course we had that with the rolls. And then for Kira, I gave her the pan-fried salmon with the rice and the carrots. I also feel like this is just a good dinner option that I make frequently is salmon with some type of veggie on the side and steamed rice. My kids really like it, and it's just something that's super easy to make and that no one ever complains about. So this was also a weekend breakfast that I made. Basically, it was a quiche with sausage, a crustless quiche, I guess you could say. So I have this round baking dish, and I went ahead and crumbled up and cooked my sausage and added it to the dish. I'm going to break some eggs into a bowl and season those with salt and pepper, add some milk or half and half, and whisk that up. Basically, this is a super versatile recipe, and I actually wouldn't even call it a recipe because you could basically use anything that you have on hand, any type of cooked protein or veggies or whatever you want to season your eggs with. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of Dijon mustard in the eggs or some hot sauce. And then I had this Gruyere cheese in the refrigerator that was nearing the date and I needed to use up. So this is actually a really good low carb recipe as well. It's a little bit higher in calories, but what I like to do is cook this ahead of time and then I'll have it in the refrigerator and just portion it out into like 6 or 8 wedges. And then I can have it during the week. It does really well heated up in the microwave, and then I'll just have it with a piece of toast or maybe some cottage cheese. And then you can also use obviously any kind of cheese you have on hand for this. Basically, it's more of a method rather than a recipe. So I also had some green onions in the refrigerator. I love the combination of like green onions or chives with any type of quiche or egg bake. So I went ahead and cut those up and added them into the quiche as well. If you have peppers or broccoli or mushrooms or anything really hanging out in your crisper drawer, go ahead and saute those up and add those as well if you want to do that. So after the sausage was in the dish, I went ahead and added the green onions, added the shredded cheese on top of that, and then I'm just going to pour the egg mixture over. And then I can't remember exactly what I baked this at. I think I baked it at 400 for maybe about 40 minutes. It's obviously going to depend on the size of dish you use and how much eggs you use and how thick it is, but you just want to bake it until it's set. Since I was making this for breakfast on a weekend, I did go ahead and make some hash browns on the side. This wasn't quite done yet when I pulled it out, so I did have to pop it back in the oven for a little bit, but definitely a good hearty breakfast that meal preps well for the rest of the week. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I use our sous vide to make a steak dinner. So I have some steaks that I got out of the freezer, thawed those out, and I'm just going to go ahead and season them with this bone sucking sauce. It's all-purpose seasoning. I can link it down below. It's just basically salt, garlic, onion, and pepper. And if you've never cooked with a sous vide before, it is one way that you can make really, really tender meat, whether it's chicken or pork or steak. I wouldn't say that I cook with it often, but it's something that I really like to use to cook steak, especially in the winter months. It can be very beneficial because all you have to do is when it's done cooking in the sous vide, you just sear it in a skillet and you're done cooking the steak. Okay, so next I'm going to make a cauliflower bake, and you guys have probably seen me make this before. I do make a couple of modifications to the recipe just so it has a little less calories, but I'll link the original one down below. So basically you just want to roast some cauliflower in the oven with some olive oil spray, and then I'm also going to make this Greek tomato salad recipe that I found in my, I think it was my Cook's Country magazine, which I don't even know why I'm still getting those magazines because I'm pretty sure I haven't paid for it in several years. But anyway, here we are. So I really love any salad with feta in it. It's delicious. I could eat it every day. But this I thought was a little bit unique because it has tomatoes and cucumbers, and then you basically salt them and set them over a colander so that the liquid drains out. I'm going to go ahead and make the vinaigrette in the bottom of my salad bowl. So I'm adding some olive oil, some red wine vinegar, and I only used about half of the olive oil that the recipe called for because I wanted to cut down on the calories and I didn't know how to notice a difference at all. So I'm just going to whisk that together along with some herbs. I added some sliced pepperoncini. I'm also going to slice up some red onions super thinly and add that. And this salad turned out really good. I would definitely make it again. In fact, I should make it again soon. I also had some carrots in the fridge that I wanted to use up, so I decided to cook those as my veggie on the side. So I'm just peeling those and then I'll chop them up, add them to a pot, boil them until they're tender. And then, like I said, I like to toss those with salt and pepper and butter and a little bit of honey, and my whole family really loves them. Okay, so for the cauliflower bake, I softened up some cream cheese and put that in the bottom of my bowl. Then I added some non-fat Greek yogurt. The original recipe, I believe, calls for full-fat sour cream. But like I said, I like to make these substitutions and it cuts down on the fat and calories and it still tastes just as good. I also added some salt, pepper, some minced garlic to there. I also added some shredded cheese, and then I'm going to chop up some green onions. You don't have to have these, but I do think it really makes the taste a lot better. So if you have these on hand, definitely add them. And then I always keep bacon bits in my fridge, so I added some of those as well. So here's the cauliflower after it got done roasting. I'm going to go ahead and stir in that cheese sauce and pop it back into the oven to let everything cook through. After my tomatoes and cucumbers were marinated, I added those to the vinaigrette and gave that a stir. I'm also going to end up dicing up some feta cheese and some herbs and adding that to the salad. Like I said, this turned out super good. My kids aren't like huge fans of feta cheese. They will eat it on its own a little bit if I put it out like on a charcuterie, but to eat it in a salad like this, they're not like huge, huge fans. I think Connor did try this and he liked it. But anyway, I chopped up some mint, some basil, and some parsley and some fresh dill and just stirred everything together in my big salad bowl. And in fact, I did actually save the leftovers of this and mixed it with some cooked pasta in the next few days to make a quick pasta salad for lunch out of it. I had one of these take and bake baguettes that you can get at Walmart. They are actually pretty good. All you have to do is throw them in the oven and crisp them up, and they're good to go with a little bit of butter on the side of dinner. Okay, so my carrots are done. I'm just letting those rest in the pan. And then here is the steak after I seared it on the stove. And then I added a little bit of extra cheese to the top of that cauliflower bake. And here is what my plate looked like. I had some of the cauliflower with the steak and the salad. This was a delicious dinner, and now just watching this, I really want to make it again very soon. So this was another breakfast that I made on the weekend, some sausage and cinnamon rolls. So I had some sausage links on hand that I had gotten at Aldi. So I'm just sauteing those in a skillet, and then I had some cinnamon rolls that I had gotten at Aldi as well. So I cut a piece of parchment paper into a circle and I'm just putting it into a round cake pan. I always like to make my cinnamon rolls in a round cake pan because I find that when the sides are touching, it makes the cinnamon rolls a lot softer and gooier, and they don't tend to get as overbaked. When the sausage links were done cooking, I went ahead and put those in a bowl that I had lined with a paper towel just to let them rest. And then when the cinnamon rolls came out, I added the icing to the top of those, and I just like to use a spoon to spread that out. Cinnamon rolls are one of Connor's favorite things for breakfast. I don't make them that often, and obviously very low effort because they are canned cinnamon rolls, but whatever. We have to do the best with what we can, right? I had this pineapple sitting on the counter that was rather ripe, so I wanted to get that cut up and set out so that it wouldn't go bad. So I'm just coring that and cutting it into small chunks, and I'll put that in a dish. And I set that out so the kids could snack on it while they were eating breakfast. Here is what Connor had. He had some Fairlife chocolate milk with a couple of cinnamon rolls, and I also made up some bacon. And then for Adam and myself, I made some scrambled eggs. So I'm just adding some eggs, milk, salt, and pepper to a big measuring cup, and I'm going to go ahead and whisk that up. And then I just like to cook this over low to medium heat in a skillet with some nonstick cooking spray. Here is what Kira had for her breakfast. I gave her a bagel with some blueberry cream cheese on it because she wanted that instead. And then for myself, I cooked up some hashed brown potatoes with a little bit of cooking spray and some Lowry seasoned salt. And I had them in a bowl with cottage cheese, eggs, and bacon. And that was my high protein breakfast. Okay, yes, we're making tacos again. So I had this tequila lime seasoning that I'd gotten from Whole Foods a while back, and I found it when I was cleaning out my spice cabinet, and I was like, oh, I need to use this up. So I thought that it would be really good on some chicken. So basically I just have some chicken breast, and I'm seasoning those with the tequila lime seasoning very generously. And I like to let these sit for a little bit, just so they have the time to, I guess you wouldn't really call it marinating, but just so they have time to season the meat a little bit. And then I have a nonstick skillet with a little bit of olive oil in the bottom. And basically I'm just going to cook these chicken breasts whole. I will let them rest and then slice them up for the tacos. So this is kind of a weird way to make guacamole, but basically I had some of these avocado cups in the refrigerator. All they are is like mashed avocado with lemon juice and salt, and they were going to outdate. And so I thought, you know what I can do? I can actually make my own guacamole with these. So I added them to a bowl and basically put all of the fixins for guacamole in there. I would not say that this was as good as making my own fresh guacamole. Obviously, mashing up your own avocado is a lot better. But again, I was just trying to, use things up that were in my refrigerator. So I minced up the red onion pretty finely, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to the bowl with the mashed avocado. Next, I'm going to mince up some cilantro, add that as well as some tomato. Okay, so you cannot have guacamole without a little lime juice. So I squeezed a little bit of lime juice in there and added that to the bowl. And I always like to taste the guacamole with a chip because I feel like that's how I'm going to eat it. So might as well test it with a chip to make sure I get the flavor right. Next, I'm going to cut up some lettuce, and then I'm going to go ahead and slice up my chicken. If you can get your hands on that chicken or on that tequila lime seasoning from Whole Foods, I highly recommend it. These are the shells that I'm using for my tacos. They are the Mission zero carb flour tortillas. They are so good. And they're only 25 calories per tortilla, which is crazy. Like, how do they do that? So I added my chicken, cheese, lettuce, a little bit of sour cream, and some taco sauce. And those were my delicious tequila lime chicken tacos for this evening. Sorry, doggies, you don't get any, but they were super delicious. I just want to remind you again, don't forget to check out PMD. I'll have the link in the description box below, along with code JENPMD for 40% off. And if you guys want to see what I cook for dinner when I don't want to cook, watch this video next. Bye.